Hey guys, I figured I'd do one more quick video. Had a little more time. Of course, we're in the dungeon, and I'm going to be using what's called a half Mook Jong or a half wooden dummy for this part. This is actually one small piece of our sort of grading training exam, if you will. Again, this is just one piece of it, and it's called the 6+1. It's out of Wing Chun. And I like to train to get it in my, just the motions in my own head. I train on a wooden dummy, as well as obviously with a live person of different heights, different weights, different sizes, different skills from different backgrounds, whether it's jiu-jitsu, whether it's taekwondo, from all different walks of life, is how I like to train to make sure that I'm prepared for any altercation or any instance that is required. So the 6+1 is it's essentially, it always starts really from I won't call it an on guard position, but a ready position. A ready position can be with both arms crossed, meaning somebody's arguing with me about something. I bumped him, or he bumped me, and then he had a problem with me, or he thinks I hit on his girlfriend, whatever it is. I'm in my ready position to where if he actually tries to swing at me, then I'm shoot forward to guard myself, to counter strike, all of that combined. Or another ready position that certain people will recommend is this, as if you're thinking or you're paying attention. You're like, oh, okay, yeah, you sure, yeah, okay. And then right from there, ready position. So we generally start from that ready position. And this is the first out of the sequence of 6+1. Essentially, he makes his move. I shoot out forward. When you shoot out forward, you want to shoot out forward to come in contact, and also ultimately, you're really trying to make a connection, and hopefully, it rarely happens, but hopefully with that first punch, end the confrontation, and at least have him reconsider whether or not he wants to go do anything further. So you come in contact, and his arm is strong. You can't go through it to reach your target, which is his head or his chest or his throat or what have you. So with this other free hand, as it shoots out, and you realize in your mind, after a number of years or months or however frequently you can train, you realize that this arm is not going to come through and reach its target. You simply tap it out of the way to reach the target. I always finish with this particular part because in most cases you are going to reach that target. But in the event that you don't, and his other hand, his free hand at this point, is fast enough to come up and push you out of the way, basically block your punch from reaching his head, it pushes you across your body. That's generally what's going to happen. It's going to push you across the body. When it pushes you across the body, you go into what's called a Wing Chun, wing arm, or bong sao. So I have one hand trapped under here, his other hand came up and essentially pushed me over to the side. And to protect myself, I'm essentially pushing his arm or his fist out of, from hitting me in the face and protecting myself. So we make contact, I push forward, I finish the action because that's just how I train. But he's fast enough, he pushes me into a defensive bong sao. There are a number of different bong saos. Some bong saos are just very quickly to the front, and then you move, sort of push them out of the way, and then you come through and you hit. But for this, because these arms are they're mobile, but they're very immobile in that respect. It starts like this. It ends up like this. So from here, you shoot this hand forward, the underhand, shoot it forward very quickly, and then it pops down. It's called a lop sao. You shoot it forward, creating sort of a wedge, and you use it as a lever system to peel his hand off of your arm. So you lever it. And generally what people will do is they'll do a back fist. And that peel leads to a very nice, easy back fist. It's the easiest motion that can be done. But you could also lead it to just a chop to the throat. Or a punch. A number of different secondary motions that can be made. So start off, pushes me into a defense, I wedge. I use it as a lever. Okay, and then I come back here with my back fist. But again, I only have one arm, so his other arm is again fast enough to come up and block me. So I didn't actually make contact with his face. I could punch, I could chop. I come back here, and he's back in his stiff position. What do I do then? Slap it out of the way and move forward. So that's the first out of the 6+1, and we'll do it without all the talking. I'll just do it very quickly for you to see. There you have it. The second one starts off exactly the same, all the way up to the wing arm and then the sort of the back fist. The difference, and all of these actually start with that same action. They all start like this, up to this point. Okay. From there, with the second one, instead of him pushing me, he wants to, instead of him being stiff rather, he says, he wants to push me away, or he wants to push into me and kind of try to grab my hand, what have you. The reaction, the natural reaction for most people is to pull their elbow back here. But if you pull your elbow back here, okay, you really don't have the leverage or the force or the ability to push back through. So what Wing Chun trains you to do is to actually take your elbow, instead of it going back here or back here, it actually caves in almost in front of your belly button. And you don't want it to go over too far, because then they have all this area to come through. But if you have your arm on an angle like this, I can bring my elbow in all the way here, still be protected. If I push it forward a little bit, I'm protected from here, from the center of my body, all the way to the outside here. It's just with this very simple arm, this very simple movement. So instead of bringing it back here when somebody pushes, you snap your elbow in and position your arm, and it's almost like a bartender or a waitress carrying a big tray of drinks, food around in a restaurant. Sort of what's referenced. Okay, so that's the action that's going to happen. He's going to actually push into my arm, and my arm's going to snap in like that simultaneously. Whereas I feel this pressure coming in here, as I feel this pressure, I'm going to shift my body. I'm going to pivot my body. You don't need to always pivot pivot on your legs, the balls of your feet, or the heels of your feet. You can just pivot your body, and one foot will it will move. Your body will just cause it to move. But you basically just want to end up in this position where he's pushing over here. He's not pushing into you anymore. First he's pushing into you, and you try to deflect that force, and at the same time you pivot, and then you slap down, basically blocking both of his arms, trapping both of his arms, and then you punch forward. So that's number 2 in the 6+1. So same start. Now he pushes forward. Okay, you see how I just pivoted? Now I can't push through the wooden dummy, of course, because it's very immobile, very hard, it'll hurt. But then from this position, trap both arms. See, I can trap both arms here. It looks a little awkward, it's a little high, but if it's a real person, if there was somebody else here, one of my training partners here, and he was doing that, the force that I have in my shoulder and my elbows and my trapping, it would be down here. And I'm just going to punch right through. So we'll do that one more time. What you'll see is, after I trap and I punch, I'm not staying like this, I'm not punching. You can punch from the side. There are instances where you'll punch from the side, or from the side this way. But with this, you're actually using the shifting of your body to help you create more force. Carry your body weight with that punch through your opponent. So that's number 2 of the 6+1. Number 3, of course, same start, but instead of him being stiff with his last motion, or instead of him pushing me back, he's going to push me across again, back into this defensive Bong Sao wing arm. And we're going to respond the same way we did to the first, which is this lop sao, this wedge lop sao. And this time you can either lower your elbow, I mean, you can do a ton of different things, but you can lower your elbow and snap in that right to his collarbone or to his throat, or you can do the same back fist, or the same lower the elbow and punch. The simplest or the most sort of flowing, because you're already doing that whip, is to whip in with a chop across. So this is what it looks like. An entry, push between the Bong Sao, I do the wedge, and you'll notice you do the wedge, and just as soon as you drop the elbow, you'll see that your hand just wants to go forward. Just drop the elbow, hand wants to go forward. So that's number 3 in the 6+1. Number 4 is a little bit different in that, so far we have shown that our opponent is very fast in his defending against our attacks, and at the same time he's very well trained to always bring his hands back into the right position. Number 4 is, in the case of what happens if he's fast, he can come with the block, but he blocks too high. He's too high. If I'm up here, my hands are up here, all somebody has to do is just pop me up, and my arms are useless at this point. They're useless. So you generally don't keep your hands up here. It doesn't benefit you at all. Not only that, but if somebody goes to punch me through here, what am I going to do? I got to drop everything down. And to drop this down, you really don't have the strength of the force or your entire body weight, as if, if my arm's already here, all I have to do is just sink. And my entire body weight is coming down on you with that sink. From here, that's not really doing anything. I've already gone past the structurally sound point of my bone alignment if my elbows are up here. So it's just pushing me back, and then I'm completely exposed everywhere. So number 4 in the 6+1 is that instance where he's fast enough to block, but he's too high. So what we do is we switch it up. We're here, he's fast enough to block, okay? But we don't want to go up there with him, so we just switch hands. And this other hand actually shoots up to his head, pushes his head back, and the other hand that comes down tries to grab his hand and push in him. So it's pushing the head and pushing in, down into his sort of his midsection. I mean, if you can catch a hip bone, push down, yeah, it's great. Snatch his arm, push his head and push down. So it looks something like this. Mook. Now he blocked too high. It's his problem. Number 5 and number 6 in this series are actually proactive motions. 1 through 4 have always been reactive by me. He's been giving me some type of energy. He's been either very stiff, push him out of the way, or he's pushed too hard here, and I pivot and I punch, or he's pushed too hard here, and I come through and chop, or he's too high and I react. Okay. Number 5 and number 6 are actually proactive, meaning I'm in a position and I say, you know what? I'm not going to wait for him. I'm going to do something. So number 5 is actually, we go through the initial entry, same entry as all of them. Now I'm here and I say, you know what? I have a perfect opportunity to attack him in a way, or get into a position and attack him to where he can't defend. Okay? We're connected on the outside. This is his left arm. This is the outside of his left arm. Remember I said that these, in the beginning I said that these are inside, outside of left arm, also inside and outside of right arm, inside of right arm, also inside and outside of left arm. So I am now connected with the outside of his right arm. Excuse me, I think I said left arm before. His right arm. So he came up like this, and we connected, right? So now I just pivot and I yank down on his arm, push down, pivot, and at the same time push down, swivel, just like that. You can practice this over and over again without anything, and once you have somebody's arm there, you'll see that it works very well. It pulls him off balance, and as I pull him off balance, and I step out, this hand, this now free hand, come up with a sort of a downward hacking punch, because remember, he's pulled down. I pulled him down. So if I just punch this way, I'm going to punch over his head. If I punch this way, it's going to graze off his shoulder and never even touch him, not do any damage. So that's why it's generally a overhand, downward hacking punch connecting somewhere here. Okay, and then you can follow another, or a punch to the gut, or an uppercut, whatever you want from that position. So this is number 5, the 6+1. Okay. Number 6 is a double trap of the arms. We want to trap both of the arms down here with one of our own hands. It's 1 against 2. If I have both of my opponent's arms trapped and I'm pushing and I have a forward force and he can't get out, I've got this other free hand. I could punch him as many times as I want, and punch him and then retrap both of those arms with this one and punch, and then retrap and punch. Theoretically, I could do it from now until the end of time. Problem is, you don't want to do it too many times, because you're going to give your opponent the opportunity to figure out, to kind of wiggle and ultimately get himself out, wiggle, get himself out. And if he gets himself out, and then, he has some skill himself, he can start attacking you. So you generally want to get like 1 or 2 good, or maybe even 3 good strikes in, and then move on to a different position and a different attack, so that you can get him off balance in this direction, and then get him off balance in this direction, and get him off balance in that direction. So that in his mind, he has to continuously adjust and regain his balance from a different direction. And that's how you will be, again, mobility, distance, and position. That's a common theme from the first time we walk into a gym where I train till the end, the absolute end, till you're in your grave. Mobility, position, distance, and of course your stance allows you to achieve those. And then from there, it's there are 1,020,000 different strikes that you can have, and it doesn't matter what school you come from, it doesn't matter what art you've trained, you can always use all of your tools. We have guys who trained karate for 30 years, and when they apply these principles, it doesn't matter that sometimes the punches are really stiff, old style karate punches, because they're in the right position, because they have learned the distance. Those punches are as devastating as any Wing Chun punch, as any boxer's punch, as any punch that you can imagine, because they take those fundamental rules and they apply them to their specific art, or they try to take their art and mold it in with these rules as best as possible. So this here is, again, number 6 of the 6+1. It is the double arm trapping, 1 against 2 with the punch. And this is what it looks like on the wooden dummy. Now, I've trapped one arm down here, right? This is my connection to the other arm. I'm going to push down. Now I've got both arms trapped. I could sit here forever. I keep forward pressure. I keep pushing into his center to keep him off balance, so that he can't regain balance and wiggle his way out. While I have both hands trapped here, this hand shoots straight up. You could do a hook. You could do an uppercut. It's kind of awkward to do an uppercut from this position. The easiest thing, and structurally the best defense and offense for yourself, is, again, this vertical punch, because it protects you from here to here, your body, and it is structurally sound. It is aligned with the bones and with the frame of your body. It also allows you, if you could see down, of course, you would see that this fist goes down to this elbow, and while there is air between my elbow and my knee, the angle actually goes straight down or back, down and back into the ground. So I can apply force from the ground. I can take everything and drive it up into my opponent. So again, I've got both arms trapped here. And I drive up and forward, of course. I then take this hand, I retrap both arms. Now it's this hand's turn. Drive up and forward. And I can do it again. But again, we don't do that. We don't do it more than the maximum of 3 times because we don't want our opponent to kind of catch on, figure a way out, and then, you know, we may, if he figures a way out over here, because I've got this arm trapped, I already have my defenses down. If I have this arm trapped and he gets out over here, I already have my defenses down. So I don't want to do that. I don't want to give him that opportunity. So, you know, you move to a different position. You move to a different position. So that's number 6. I'll do it one more time, just in case you didn't catch it. Now the plus one is where a lot of imagination is needed in using the Mook Jong, because again, left inside, left outside, left inside, or right inside, right outside. So this looks very similar to the first one in our series, but in essence, the second part of this particular action is I'm connecting, or I'm actually pushing. He's got his left hand pushing me in, pushing against me. So I do what's called an inside Paxal. The first one was an outside Paxal, even though it looks like I'm hitting the inside of this, my opponent's left arm. I'm really hitting the outside of their right arm in number 1 for the 6+1. The plus one of this 6+1 is within my second part, the end of this entire cycle. I'm actually hitting the inside of their left arm. So it starts off, I make connection with the outside of his right arm. I push it out of the way. Okay, his arm comes up and blocks me, pushes me into a defense. I get out, come back, and I am now connected, or his hand is now technically pushing against my arm. This is the inside of his left arm, not the outside of his right arm. It's the inside of his left arm. And I have to remember that in my head, because that's what I'm practicing. So then I push, packs out, and I generally push my elbow forward to trap the other arm, because this is, remember, left arm, the right arm is still here. It's kind of horrible to do it up here. Doesn't really make it, doesn't feel right. If you always train like this, where your shoulder is high and your elbow is high, if you do it in real life, it's just not going to work. Your opponent's going to be able to lift you up. So you still train, grab on, and you use this as your stability. Your hand connected to his left arm is your stability, and you push your elbow forward and pivot your whole body into him. So you can trap the other arm, and then you can just punch freely. So this is the plus one of the 6+1 on the wooden tongue. That was the outside of the right arm that I just connected with. His left arm pushes me into defense, bong sao, or wing arm. I get out fast enough. Now his left hand is pushing against my hand, my right arm. And this is the inside of his left arm. I go inside, Paxal, pivot the body, get the elbow, forcing him, trapping him, and I punch. So I'm going to go through all 6+1 one last time so that you can see them in consecutive order. What was it? Inside of left arm. Okay guys, that's the 6+1. It's a small piece of one of the grading levels of school, one of the schools I train at. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something, and hope to see you next time. Thank you.